Welcome to this episode of Grassroots Advocacy. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. We're glad you're here. I'd encourage you to take an opportunity to review previous episodes just so that you're up to speed with the content and what we're talking about, and so you have an opportunity to consider whether being a grassroots advocate makes great sense for you. In our previous episode, we had the opportunity to start a discussion about advocating for your profession, in particular with those folks who are considering entering the profession of certified nursing assistant or similarly credentialed positions with the same scope of practice. We're going to continue that discussion today by looking at some opportunities for you to advocate for your profession. However, before we do that, I'd like to ask you to consider a couple of things that should help us to understand the sense of urgency. The first thing is that the healthcare system overall experiences a very high level of turnover at the first line of care. That's certified nursing assistants, that's orderlies, that's caregivers. The titles are very different across the country. But the point is that we have a very high rate of turnover at that critical point of care. The person that spends the most time with the patient, resident, elder, however you refer to the person you care for. The second thing that is very important for us to think about is we have this wonderful wave of baby boomers who are coming of age, in a manner of speaking, who will be more likely to require care. And we are going to need at least 300,000 caregivers between now and 2026 to even meet the basic standards of care. So it's really important that we increase our retention and our recruiting efforts so that we have a sufficient number of quality caregivers to be able to meet that need. Now, as a grassroots advocate, there are a number of ways, a number of activities, things that you can do to help increase the potential of recruiting quality caregivers. And so I'd like to take a moment and give you 4 basic areas that you could look at that would help you. The first of those is career days. So if you think about it, as a parent, your child might come home and say, "Hey, mommy, we're going to have the parents come in and talk about their professions, and I wondered if you would come." Now, the temptation might be, "Oh my gosh, I don't want to do that." For maybe because you're uncomfortable with public speaking, or maybe because you don't feel like you have enough time on your calendar, whatever the case may be. But if you're given an opportunity to speak with young people in 6th, 7th, or 8th grade about the opportunities that are associated with being a nursing assistant, a certified nursing assistant, or credentialed nursing assistant, please take the opportunity to do that. And when you go do that, put on your best set of scrubs. Make sure you have your stethoscope and your gait belt and your safety belt, whatever tools you think the kids might find interesting, and bring those with you so that they can have not only this great story that you're going to share, but they can have these really high-class images of what a professional looks like. Now, the next item I'd like to ask you to think about is job fairs. Job fairs are really great because they give you an opportunity to interact with people who are getting ready to enter the workforce. And a lot of times they will happen at high schools, they will happen at junior colleges, they will happen at the Department of Health and Human Services. Your local agencies will put on these job fairs, and it's a great opportunity for you to get out there to talk to folks who are ready to get into the job market and the workforce, and they just need to have a little bit of better understanding about why it would be wonderful to serve in the post-acute, long-term care, and other healthcare settings. And you could be the instrument to do that. You could go out there and tell your story and have the ability to influence folks to make the same choice that you did. Now then, let's look at the next item. And the next item is hosting an open house. Now, oftentimes, care settings will host an open house, and that open house will be really set up for the community to come in and see what your care setting is about. However, you can work with other agencies and other organizations in your area to invite folks in to your center to consider becoming a nursing assistant or becoming part of the housekeeping or dietary or laundry. So you could invite potential employees or potential caregivers into your setting, and you could take them on a tour. You could talk to them about all of the wonderful things that are happening as a result of your service. This also gives you a really good opportunity to see how potential candidates might interact with the men and women that you care for. For example, as you're walking down the hall, if someone stopped and said, "Oh, hello, ma'am, how are you?" That would give you a sense that they're comfortable interacting with the same people that you interact with on a daily basis. And that's a very important thing to think about. The next thing I'd like to ask you to think about in terms of advocating for your profession is seizing every opportunity. Not too awfully long ago, well, actually, if I'm going to be perfectly candid, it's been quite a while. But a while back, I had the opportunity to be in a Walmart supercenter. And there was a young lady, and she was in line a couple of places in front of me. And she was standing in line, and she was in her scrubs, and she looked like she had had a really active day at work. And we're all standing there, and we're waiting for the checker to do her business. Unfortunately, it was a day when Walmart didn't have very many checkers at the stand, so we had to wait a little bit. Anyway, the lady in front of me, but behind the nursing assistant, was standing there, and she said, "Hey, are you a nurse?" And the nursing assistant responded, "No, I get to spend more time with my patients. I'm a CNA." That's a great way of advocating for the profession, and it's a great way of helping to promote the positive aspects of our profession. And you'd never know, that person that was behind her could have been in a position where they needed to find a job. And that young lady, by that great response, triggers the idea in this person's head, hey, maybe I want to go become a CNA. I'd also like to encourage you to think about the fact that some of the most remarkable things happen in the most innocuous or ordinary places that you don't even think about. For example, let's say that you're at the laundromat and you're doing your clothes, and there's another person there and they're doing their clothes. And you know how you're folding clothes or taking them in and putting them out and that sort of thing. And you know how conversations kind of evolve. Well, that's a great opportunity for you to share the benefits and the values of your service to our nation's frail and disabled citizens. So my point in that is I encourage you to take an opportunity, in fact, every opportunity that presents itself, to speak about the profession of certified nursing assistant and how it has positively impacted your life, because you never know, that one conversation may spur a career of service in a new nursing assistant. It's really a pleasure to have you guys visiting with us and participating with us as we go through the Grassroots Advocacy conversation. And we're going to continue this conversation next week in terms of talking about how we advocate with our fellow nursing assistants when it comes to doing the very best that we can do to deliver exceptional care. I'd like to conclude today's session by looking at this quotation from Lee Iacocca. He said, I hire people brighter than me, and I get out of their way. What we should want to do as professionals is make sure that the next generation of caregiver is even better than we are. I look forward to visiting with you during the next episode.